Hello and welcome back to DoneDeal Car Reviews. Today we're finally reviewing a car that isn't white. This is the Volvo XC40. Actually, this is the 2019 Irish Car of the Year. In a fight against many other premium brands such as Mercedes, BMW and now even Jaguar, this XC40 has a lot to live up to, and it actually makes me wonder, how did it get crowned that top spot? So the idea today is to find out how. This particular one is Our design. It comes with a lot of extras. It's got the dual tip exhaust, which both actually work. It's black everywhere. It's got the roof, the trim, the windows are privacy glass, which is tinted windows. It's got the blacked out wing mirrors, and of course it's got the Our design grille on the front. Moving to the inside of this car, I think there is no better place than to start with the boot. So basically you just wiggle your foot there, hopefully it should open, thankfully it did. And this has to be the most practical boot I've ever seen in my whole life. So first of all, you've obviously got a flat surface there. You can fold down the seats and it will go 100% flat. You can lift this up here and put it into there. You can hang your shopping bags there, separate stuff here. As well as that, you've got the 12-volt socket, and then of course you've got loads of tethering points around the boot. And last but not least, if you live in the Swedish mountains where this car is made, you can of course stick your skis through that little hole. So the XC40 is definitely versatile and it's definitely practical, but how does it compare to the market in terms of overall boot space? Well, it's got a 460 litre boot. Comparing that to the Audi Q3 with 427 litres, it's more. However, it's not even nearly up to scratch compared to the Jaguar E-Pace, which has a 577 litre boot. The interior test. So, like a lot of SUVs, it's nice and spacious in here. You've loads of room for your knees, a bit of room for your head, although not that much. And I can only imagine if you get the optional extra of the sunroof, it's going to really reduce the headroom. Then, of course, you've got loads of room here for your drinks. Bit of space in the middle, although it is quite narrow. And last but not least, Volvo claimed that this is one of the most practical cars in terms of storage. As you can see, there's storage down there, more storage in here. Everywhere you look, there's somewhere where you can put something, like here. When you sit into the Volvo XC40, you're granted with this position that you definitely feel like you're in an SUV. You're that bit higher, sitting above the road. You've got an armrest on your left, an armrest on your right, and there's no doubt it's very comfortable. You've got a small steering wheel with the Our design logo, but then up front, that is my favorite feature. You have the digital display, which comes standard in every single Volvo XC40. Right here in the center, you are left with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 buttons. 8 buttons in a center console is not a whole lot. You're actually mostly granted by touchscreen, which works very well. It's quite fluid, there's no lag. The only thing I will say is it doesn't have Apple CarPlay and Android pairing device, so it's not as good and it's a little bit more complicated to set up. But if you're going to own this car, you'll get very used to that. And you're actually left with so many different apps, it's crazy. It's got like Spotify, everything. Even has Google search, which is quite cool. Storage wise, you've got so much going on. You've got these 2 cup holders here, but I have found a flaw in them. They're almost too big for your kind of big drink and they just fall over when you go around bends, but it's not really a massive issue. There's also space for your phone here. There seems to be like a bin, big old glove box, and you've got these seats. Now, I am gonna have to read the name of these seats because what I will say is they're very comfortable. They are the Agnes leather / nutbuck textile charcoal seats. They are very, very comfortable. They've also got this extra support here for anyone with a bit of longer legs. Now, this car's party piece, like any car, is driving, because that at the end of the day is what matters most. So let's take it for a drive. Bearing in mind, today is very snowy. It's about -2 degrees outside. Our poor cameraman is probably shaking with the cold. I do only have the 2-wheel drive version and I'm kind of raging because it would have been the perfect opportunity to have a 4-wheel drive Volvo. The XC40 comes in various different diesel and petrol engines. This particular one is the T4 190 brake horsepower petrol version, and to drive it is absolutely lovely. The 18-inch wheels hold the road nicely and you actually don't end up with too much cabin noise. As you're probably aware, it's quite snowy today, so I'm not going to be pushing the car trying to get the most out of that 190 brake horsepower, but what I will say is it's nice and nippy. However, if you're in Ireland, I'd probably get a diesel, being completely honest, because it is 2019 and although the move is towards hybrid and eventually electric vehicles, we're not quite there yet. As you're driving along the motorway, there's loads of lovely features which we'll touch on in a while, such as lane assist, where it effectively helps you stay within your lane. And then of course, when it comes to parking, there's loads of parking sensors, there's a rear view camera. These are all extras that come with the Or design, but they're definitely worth having as they make the whole car just feel that bit more special. The last thing the X40 has that is really good, and we're probably going to see in a lot more ordinary cars in the near future, is it has collision avoidance assistance. Now the word assistance is very important there because you do definitely not want to be relying on that. To be honest, I'd love to show you it by driving up to something, but I'm not about to crash this 50,000 euro car into a wall just to prove a point. This particular version has the automatic gearbox. Now, I believe that the manual version is a nice manual to drive, but it is kind of approaching 2020, and in the future I think we're going to see a lot less manual cars on the road. So I definitely highly recommend this automatic box. The only thing that I want to show you, but I can't really show you right now because it's a little bit snowy, is the lag it takes in comfort mode, which is the primary kind of setting that you're going to have the car in, because when you put your foot down, nothing really happens for 2 or 3 seconds and the lag is a bit frustrating. Combine that with the fact that the 190 brake horsepower engine is a little bit gutless. However, you're probably not buying the XC40 for its overall performance on the road, and rather the space and the convenience and the luxury. So let's take a look at 3 of our favourite and least favourite things about the Volvo XC40. Being completely honest, I have so many more than just 3 that I do love, so I'm going to say my least favourite things first. And number 1, if I turn on the car, is this automatic system. So in any normal car you would just pull it once to put it in gear and it would go, but for some reason in Volvos you have to pull it back twice, and it kind of just reminds me of like some kid with ADD just pulling it loads to put it into gear and then reverses forward loads. It's a bit kind of just overkill, but it's probably to do with safety, and that's kind of Volvo's life, like they just love safety. Number 2 is this design here. I don't understand why they didn't just go with what the XC60 and the XC90 look like with the straight back window. It kind of reminds me of these 2 plates. These are also Swedish plates. I bought them in IKEA. This represents the XC90 and this represents the XC60. Now it's like Volvo were like, well, we can't really make a smaller plate, so let's just change the window a little bit to kind of adapt to that section of the market. And number 3 kind of coincides with this design here. Basically, it makes for a massive rear pillar. Have a look at this. So right now you can see me, I'm perfectly clear, it's safe to change lane. But if I stand here, I'm completely in your blind spot, you have no idea where I am, but then behind you, voila, I am over here. Perfectly in vision. So it's kind of weird, like you can just see that's quite a large blind spot. And for safety, actually Volvo, for safety it might not be that good. Now the part I'm looking forward to, my favourite things, and I'm not going to limit this to 3 because there is a load of unique and cool features. So number 1, let's roll the montage of all the storage by basically trying to see where we can put this GoPro in the car. So much room for activities. Number 2 is the fact that the seats, or actually for some reason only the left hand seat, folds down electronically. Number 3, this is nothing special, but I am just still grateful that you can close it like that. But like I said, that's available in most cars of this class. Number 4, and I think this is an additional feature, is you have drive mode. So you can select comfort, which is probably what we're usually going to drive in. You've also got individual, you've got dynamic, eco, and of course off-road. Don't know how much off-roading a front wheel drive car can do, but it's nice to have it. The next thing is it's got lane assist. So basically, currently if I start drifting to the right, hands off the steering wheel, it corrects it to the left. Pretty crazy. Another thing I love about this car is it has an app called Volvo On Call. And for cold mornings like today, like look at my breath. It is freezing, -2 degrees. There's an app where you can set it where it'll turn on, put on the heated seats, put on the heating for you, and then when you go out to your car 10 minutes later, it's lovely and warm. And if you're worried about being stolen, don't worry, we know Volvo's all about safety. The doors will be locked, and even if someone can get into the car without that key, they won't be able to drive away. Now, in true DoneDeal car reviewing spirit, get it? We are going to see how much this car costs to you, the consumer who's actually going to go and buy it, and who probably doesn't have the cash to pay for it up front. So first of all, I think it's worth mentioning the XC40 starts at around 36,000 euros. However, you would be stone mad to purchase a bare basic one. You need to feel that premium, that executive feeling, and it's worth getting a few upgrades. So this particular one, the Or design, it comes in at just under 50,000 euros. Now, not going too specific into numbers, you're going to want to spend around 15,000 euros as a deposit, which is quite a large chunk. You can trade in your old car, whatever suits you best. Then for 35 months, you're going to be paying around 540 euros. Not actually that bad for such a nice car, but then at the end, you are left with potentially that balloon payment of buying the car outright, or else you can just simply give back the car. Or of course, you can upgrade, get a new one, and probably still pay the same every month. The other thing worth noting is you are capped at mileage of 20,000 kilometers a year. These are all kind of regular finance things. There's nothing kind of exclusive to Volvo in that respect. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching this review. All we ask in return is that you engage with us. Let us know any insights you have. If you've ever driven or owned an XC40, what have you liked, what have you disliked? And of course, if you could please subscribe, that would be amazing. But for now, that is all from us. I hope you've enjoyed the review. I hope you've learned something, and good luck getting into your next car.